These are the ABC Kei cars, a fascinating trinity of Japanese motoring history. These pint-sized wonders are not only remarkable for their sheer existence, but also their abilities. You've entered this video not knowing which is best, and you'll likely finish it not knowing either. But that's what makes this trio so compelling. To start this tale of the three musketeers, we need to go back to 1949. Japan's light car regulations were first founded after the Second World War. To help the populace and economy recover, these light cars were initially limited to an economical 150cc, but manufacturers weren't interested in making cars like this at the time. That was until the regulations were tweaked in 1955. Subaru introduced their 360, which was the first Kei car to not only meet the increased power limit of 360cc, but also become a major success. From then on, through the swinging 60s and 70s, the class exploded in popularity, and Keis were readily available from almost all manufacturers. However, it took until the great Japanese economic boom in the 80s for the idea of Kei sports cars to finally take a hold. At the time, Keis were basic, ugly cars that wouldn't seem out of place with their grandma behind the wheel. Manufacturers realised that the younger generation needed cheap but sexy cars that would rival their flagship luxury and sports cars on the cool wall.
This is a cool car.
And the results were certainly something. By the time the late 80s swang around, 4 valves per cylinder, turbos and all kinds of cutting-edge tech had been stuffed into Kei cars.
Your bumper rebar is just your turbo.
And when in 1990, the engine capacity was once again raised from 550cc to 660, the really serious Kei sports cars finally hit the market. Let's take a closer look at them. A stands for AZ1. The Autozam AZ1 is the only coupe of the group, and the only one in which you'll look like a baller getting in and out of. It almost looks like a child-sized Ferrari. Here's a 6'3" Doug demuro for scale, and it's the only one that has applied the supercar strategy on how to build a car. Mid-engine? Check. Rear-wheel drive? Check. Functional side vents, 4-wheel independent suspension, and absolutely no practicality? Check, check, and check. It also features gullwing doors because, I mean, why the hell not? If you're unfamiliar with Autozam, it was an affordable sub-brand of Mazda aimed at the youth. And let me tell you, the Mazda connection runs deep. In fact, the MX-5 Miata's design team was selected to lead the AZ1 project shortly after they finished the NA. However, it drives nothing like a Miata. With a pretty hefty rear weight distribution, it isn't the most well balanced of the trio. But that doesn't mean it's terrible to drive. The car is as agile as a cheetah, minus the speed of course. Although the engine is punchy and you can even push it to 10k RPM. And with its mid-engine, it can smoke the cappuccino in a drag race. The biggest letdown of the AZ1, however, is the soft suspension, which doesn't keep up with the demands of the car when you're really pushing it. But it is quite evenly matched with the cappuccino around the track, and it might just edge ahead and win. B stands for Beat. The Honda Beat was the first ABC Kei car to drop in 1991. And in fact, it was the very last car signed off by company founder Soichiro Honda before his passing just 3 months later. And in true Honda fashion, it was yet another underdog, being the only normally aspirated of the three. This means it wasn't the fastest, but it was a demonstration of how much Honda could push the limits. The Beat's maximum power kicks in at 8,000 RPM, so you'll need to make it scream loud enough to get it shifting, once again in true Honda fashion. And you'll get extra punch passing 5,000 RPM, even though the Beat doesn't have the fabled VTEC badge. But despite this, it won't keep up with the Cappuccino or AZ1 in a straight line. However, the Beat will surely win the hearts and minds of petrolheads on actual roads. The engine is a lot more playful than the rest, and with no turbo to slow down throttle response, is sure to be a favourite on the twisties. C stands for Cappuccino. The Cappuccino takes a different approach to providing driving thrills, however. An engine at the front and driven wheels at the back. This is the traditional recipe to make a great sports car, but Suzuki must have got their calculations wrong, because the Cappuccino came out in espresso form factor. It's pretty much a mini MX-5 Miata, but that's no bad thing. It has a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. Thanks to this, the Cappuccino is more settled on the track, and it can even make up lost times to the AZ1 on the straightaways. The Cappuccino is overall more precise feeling, but that doesn't mean it's boring to drive. It's still a hell of a lot of fun, and it can even make an MX-5 Miata feel just a tiny bit dull, which is really saying something. As a whole, these three cars serve the same purpose: to give you a thrilling sports car experience for a fraction of the price. They're all respectably fast, they're all fun and rewarding, and they all have their own unique ways of giving you that excitement whilst driving. Whilst the Cappuccino is a good all-rounder, the AZ1 is a slight bit more unsettled and dangerous. As for the Beat, it's a thrill to drive on twisty mountain roads. If you like this video, check out this one in which I show you the coolest Japanese car you've likely never heard of.